Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. And today's podcast is kind of a fun podcast because for the whole month of January and in fact the whole 2021 year, our whole focus is on upgrading. And if you've been around and listened to our podcast for a couple of years now and caught our videos, thank you for doing that. But today is also about how do we begin the process of upgrading your life? I don't like the word change. Change tends to be kind of a bad word in our lives. You know, who wants to change? Oh, great, I get to change today. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Instead of thinking about life as a constant change, let's switch gears and say a constant upgrade. Upgrade to me means something that is going to something better, more simple, more easy, more fun. And upgrading something like our diet or our dietary choices or our eating style is a win-win. And I think Bill and I are today, we're gonna chat about those kinds of concepts. And so we're gonna get into some of the things that we've been talking about on the videos earlier this month. And please catch those if you haven't already. And watch, we've done things like the keto diet, the low-grain diet. We've also done Trim Healthy Mama and the Mediterranean or low-carb Mediterranean diet as a way of kind of exposing, you know, what does a lifestyle eating choice look like? And are there different styles? And that there are definitely more than just one size fits all. And I want to be kind of a dialogue between Bill and I, but also to maybe go into some subtleties of how do we make this process happen? How do I get off this diet roller coaster? And so, Bill, have you known people that have been dieting and all that kind of stuff?
Well, it's really tough because, yes, I have. Some people are on one type of diet, some are on the others. And it really confuses me because there's so many diets. How do you know what's going to fit for your body's nutrition needs? And how are you gonna put this all together? It's a big puzzle. How are you going to put it all together?
It is. It's true. And what is my best recommendation for most folks? Like I just had a client come in that said, hey, I really like coffee and I know it's not good for me. And I told him, I said, it's not that I want you to get off coffee or stimulants. Yes, we know that they're hard on the pancreas. Yes, we know that they're going to be difficult for our body to process. There's going to be deficiencies that it causes. But could we even upgrade coffee? I told him, I said, I'm not here to tell you to stop doing coffee, but what if we went to at least an upgrade from your regular Folgers to an organic coffee? That's an upgrade, and it's a win-win. There's now less pesticides, less toxins, less garbage on that coffee because we've gone organic, and now we can say, okay, now that I've gone to organic, can I go to a decaf? Or can I upgrade into doing different things that I add to my coffee that are better for me? Could I add grass-fed butter to my coffee? Could I add real, cream? Or could I add a natural sugar or whatever it is that you do, or a vanilla flavoring that is natural? All those little upgrades over time make big, big differences. And I think diet goes the similar thing. Bill, what have you done diet-wise? Give me an example. Things that you may have upgraded or changed.
Well, I think that the biggest example has been, because I've bounced back and forth, and I'm in my Santa Claus suit, as you've already noticed. All it's missing is the beard. I think the biggest problem is now I suffer from gout, so I'm on a gout diet.
Sure.
So there's no more red meat, and there's certain more vegetables, and we've changed it around. We don't eat very much starch. We've given rid of the noodles and stuff of that nature. Yep. And it's just, I don't know if I'm winning or losing, to be honest.
So let me ask this. With that kind of a change, have you noticed at least less pain?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So we could say that, yes, we've had some changes, and that's where, like, clients, they'll start in the office, we do blood work, because wouldn't it nice to be able to say, okay, here's your uric acid at 8.7. Mm-hmm. We know you're definitely in the gout territory. And we start doing some dietary changes and say, hey, that's all we're going to do. Let's just see how effective we're able to get it. And we do in 3 months, hey, my pain is better. We do a blood test, and we see that your uric acid is now a 6.2. Did it work or didn't it?
Oh, no, that's a good question.
Well, sure, it worked, because we said we went from an 8.7 now to a 6.2.
6.2.
And if we say normal is, under 6 or at least, 3 to 5, okay, so we're shooting for that, and we see that your diet has been doing what it is. Okay, in another 3 months, we're going to redo it. But let's say in 3 months we redo it, and it's still a 6.2. Okay, you've plateaued now at this 6.2 number. It's time to do something that's going to help in different ways. And that's where we would say, okay, well, what else do we need to upgrade in your diet? Or do we need to add some liver support and some kidney support that would actually help, and see if we can bring that number further down? All those things are possibilities as we go through this. So if you're out there and you're wondering, what do I do to start this? First of all, you'd ask yourself, just like, Bill said, hey, I've got this gout thing. Well, is there something that you're dealing with that is a discomfort or something you don't like? Maybe you're farting and you don't want to fart anymore. Or maybe you've got indigestion and you don't want that. Or maybe you've got constipation, you don't want that anymore. Maybe you've got some skin issues and you don't want that anymore. And so we'd say, okay, well, let's begin the process of focusing on the things that may be problematic in your diet. Because if it's going to be something bowel related, we're going to pick on a food allergy. Now we hope, beyond all hopes, is that food allergy is more a chemical that we can simply say, hey, going organic is going to help. But let's say that I just love peanuts. And every time I eat peanuts, it's a severe allergy. It doesn't matter whether it's organic or not.
But peanuts are peanuts, salted or unsalted, fresh or in the bag. You can't beat them.
That's right. And maybe they're roasted. Maybe I can handle raw, but maybe I can't. Maybe it's the lectins. Like if you've heard some of my podcasts, we talked about lectins, like in the paleo podcast. Paleo is saying, hey, let's eat how we used to eat 1,000 years ago, where we didn't have a lot of legumes, we didn't have a lot of issues, eating nuts and seeds, because we just didn't do it. And now that we eat all these seeds and nuts, and we get phytic acids and lectins in our diet that really mess up our gut, and so we say, okay, well, we're going to stop all those things. Sometimes but I really want to do peanuts. Okay, we'll try our best to work with you on that. But ultimately, we've got to start asking the tougher questions. Is it something that you're eating that you're allergic to? Or is it just that you're doing enough chemicals that it's really inflaming your body? Or are you doing a lot of carbohydrates that are simple, like starches, sugar, white flour, white bread, white crackers, and that's just wreaking havoc on your digestive system and on your body and on your ability to hold minerals in, vitamins in, and just doing things not so good. So instead of thinking about, man, I've really got to change, I'd rather you think I've really got to upgrade some areas of my food choices. So I gave some ideas in those podcasts and videos on, if let's say we're a McDonald's eater, what do we do? But ultimately, let's say, okay, you are a McDonald's eater. You've got a high-paced lifestyle. You go to work, you come home, you go to bed, or maybe you play for a few hours, you go out to the bars, you have a beer or two, or whatever it is, and then you go home and you go to sleep. I remember being in college, it seemed like all we did was go to school, study, and have fun playing cards and drinking some beers. And we just tried to survive, the massive stress that was on us all the time with how much work we were going through. And then we get out of college, and now we're trying to repair our body from all the damage we did. Seems like that's what we do. And if we don't catch up, we don't do that, we just end up having an adulthood that is now one of fatigue, one of tired, one of not sleeping well, all these things that go with some of the choices that we've continued to do. So as we go, let's upgrade. So if you're wanting more energy, you're going to have to do some upgrades in your diet that are going to have to give you more energy. We can't just continue doing coffee and the like of that. The first and foremost area that I would say is, and the easiest areas, is just saying, hey, I'm going to start increasing protein a little bit, and I'm going to decrease the amount of carbohydrates that I eat. That's first and foremost. That's the first upgrade. The next upgrade would be able to say, okay, where am I getting at least 5 servings of vegetables today, but can I push into 7, 8, 9 servings of vegetables today? So last night at dinner, I had Brussels sprouts, I had beets, I had sweet potato, I had onions sautéed, I had 2 helpings of green beans, fresh, sautéed in butter with sea salt and Parmesan cheese, and then I had just a little portion of almost like hash browns. I like to kind of cut them up and fry them in butter and crisp up some hash browns because I love the taste of it. But I know that it's not something that I want to do lots of, so I might have had 2 tablespoons, maybe 2.5 tablespoons of that. So it wasn't a major portion of my meal. And then, of course, I had an all-beef organic hot dog. I said, what the heck? And so it's not like the meal was heavy protein, and it certainly wasn't heavy carbs, but I had 6 vegetables on my plate and a serving of each. In fact, one had 2. servings. And so, are most people going to eat like that? Well, no, they're not. I understand that. But I'm giving you an idea of what you could start that process of doing. Maybe you go to the grocery store and you buy a platter of cut up fresh vegetables and you eat that for the next 2 days as your vegetables that are fresh. That is a win. Let's say you still get McDonald's and have fries and a burger. Did you still eat vegetables more than you did the day before? Is that not an upgrade?
Well, no. But yes.
It is.
Because if you think about it, you're eating better, and then just once in a while kind of giving your taste buds a treat.
Of course. And do I give my taste buds a treat? Absolutely. I'm not going to let you tell me that I can't eat ice cream, because I'm going to eat ice cream. But I'm not going to have bowls and bowls and bowls every single day. It's still that moderation. And so where can we upgrade your diet? Maybe for you it's more water. Maybe for you it is, I've really got to say no to this second bag of chips. Maybe instead of the second bag of chips, you're like, I want to feel full, so what am I going to add to my plate? Well, that's where we talk about a little bit more protein. Maybe for you, an upgrade is eating 2 bites of protein first thing in the morning so that we can actually start turning on your digestion and start burning some of the fat off your body. And so if you listen to some of the podcasts we did earlier this month, as well as the videos, you're going to hear me talk about some concepts like if we're eating fat, we can't do carbohydrates at the same time, or at least not many, because we cannot burn fat in the presence of sugar. So if we're going to do sugar, we shouldn't be doing too much fat that meal. And so I watch those things. And of course, what's one of our favorite sugar-fat meals? I just mentioned it, ice cream.
Oh, yes, of course.
It's fat and it's sugar. And so, do we make our own ice cream at home and use very little sugar because we use full-fat milk? Well, yes. But I can get away with doing some small amounts of ice cream because if I can stay under a certain amount of sugar, I'm okay. And those are concepts that as you get better and better at, you'll realize, hey, I can take fat off my body and I can put it on my body at will. And that's where we have a much healthier system, much healthier liver function. So I hope I gave some ideas here about what we can do. I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to fine-tune some of you that are already in this food choices where you've made really good food choices and are doing organic stuff, that maybe your upgrade is now thinking, okay, what is my blood type? Let's say you're a type O. That means you're more of a meat eater, more of a protein eater. You want to be really edging towards more protein, more vegetables, more fat. In fact, your fat intake could be as high as 70%, and you would be fine as long as you weren't doing a lot of carbohydrates or sugar. You're going to be just fine. In my diet, I probably edge to about 60-65% fat. Sometimes I'm even up into the 80%. I will notice that I creep higher above 80%. I will start to put on fat on my body. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing a little bit too much fat at this point. I'm storing it more because fat's really quite energizing, has a lot of energy packed in it, and so it takes a while to burn it off. I notice when I do more fat, I'm much better about fasting. If I want to do some intermittent fasting, I do much better that way. So for O's, it's easy, and there's a lot of O's out there. The next most common blood type I see in my office is type A, and they don't typically do well with high protein. They typically do better with really fatty fish, or they do well with chicken and turkey. They can eat non-fatty fish like cod, those things. That's fine to do. So the A's, it's a bit trickier to stabilize blood sugar if you've already gotten to a point where blood sugar is unstable for you. So whole grains are going to be more important to you, but don't overdo them. And what do I mean by whole grains? I mean that, the real whole grains, buying the wheat berry, the whole brown rice. Nothing is processed still. You get to abide by that non-processing rule as the rest of us. But A's can tolerate being vegan or being vegetarian a bit better than the vast majority of us. Now, if you're an A, B, or B, you tend to have a more eclectic palate, so to speak. You can do more dairy. Yes, you can still do pretty decent amounts of meat and fat. Those things will probably do very well for you. So as blood types go, I don't technically recommend a hard and fast blood type diet, even though I take it with a grain of salt, so to speak. I'm more so going to try to fit you into a category of really watching your protein levels, your vegetable intake, and your fat intake, and doing away with carbs more and more and more. And again, the exception to that is my type A diet folks, or type A blood type folks. So watch for that. A couple of things, too, that probably should know. If you tend towards OCD or ADHD, probably more of a type A blood type. tend to get more anxiety, maybe even some depression,